The sky burned. Above Earth, the Galactic Empire's warships hovered like dark, metallic gods, their shimmering hulls reflecting the dying light of the sun. These ships, each the size of cities, were the pinnacle of alien engineering, gleaming, invulnerable fortresses that had brought 100 worlds to their knees. They moved with an eerie silence, their engines humming low, as if mocking the chaos they had wrought. Humanity's worst fears had materialized in the form of the Empire's flagship, Eterna Primus, a vessel of such immense scale that its shadow blotted out entire towns. Its commander, Grand Admiral Varric, stood on the bridge, arms crossed over his elaborately decorated uniform, gazing at Earth as though it were already his prize. His expression was one of mild amusement, as if this conquest were merely a formality. "Broadcast the ultimatum," Varric ordered, his voice cold and clipped. Across the planet, every screen and radio carried the same message. "This is Grand Admiral Varric of the Galactic Empire. Earth is now under our dominion. Surrender unconditionally, and your species will be spared. Resist, and your world will burn." In a sprawling bunker beneath the Rockies, President Elena Vasquez slammed her fist on the polished table. "How dare they?" she growled, her voice trembling with a mix of fury and fear. The bunker, crowded with military officials and scientists, felt like a pressure cooker ready to explode. Across the table sat General Marcus Hale, a grizzled veteran who had spent decades studying potential extraterrestrial threats. His scarred face bore the weight of every battle he'd fought, and his steady gaze cut through the panic in the room. "Madam President," he said, his tone calm but firm, "this is no different from what they've done to dozens of other planets. They don't negotiate. They conquer, they enslave, and they annihilate any resistance. And what are we supposed to do against ships like that?" snapped Secretary of Defense Raymond Cole. "Our air forces were obliterated within minutes. Our satellites are blind. We're fighting with sticks against gods." Hale leaned forward. "Not sticks. We have something they don't know about. Something we've been keeping for just this kind of day." The room fell silent. President Vasquez raised an eyebrow. "Are you talking about the Aegis Protocol?" Hale nodded. "Those anti-aircraft systems we developed decades ago. Experimental, untested. Yes, but they were designed for exactly this. High-yield kinetic projectiles, guided by AI, capable of piercing even the toughest shields. If we can deploy them in time, we might have a chance to." An explosion rocked the bunker. The lights flickered, and the distant sound of sirens sent a chill through everyone present. "They've targeted the eastern seaboard," an aide reported, voice quaking. "New York, Boston, Washington, D.C., all under bombardment. The Empire's warships rained destruction with merciless precision. Entire cities were reduced to rubble in minutes, their screams silenced under the thunder of alien firepower." On the Eterna Primus, Varric observed the devastation with detached satisfaction. "Resistance is futile," he remarked to his lieutenant, a tall, insectoid creature whose carapace gleamed under the ship's sterile lights. "Humans are a stubborn breed, but even they will kneel when their homes are ash." Back in the bunker, Vasquez gritted her teeth. "Activate the Aegis Protocol. If this is our only chance, we take it." Hale wasted no time. He barked orders into a handheld radio, his voice cutting through the static like a whip. Across the globe, concealed bunkers opened, revealing colossal anti-aircraft guns hidden beneath layers of concrete and steel. Engineers scrambled to bring the systems online, their fingers dancing across consoles as the hum of dormant machinery roared to life. Above, the Empire's ships continued their systematic decimation, oblivious to the awakening threat below. On the bridge of the Eterna Primus, Varric's lieutenant hesitated. "Admiral, we've detected unusual energy spikes from the planet's surface. They're concentrated in specific locations." Varric frowned. "What kind of energy spikes?" "Unknown, sir. Potentially weapons grade. Impossible, Varric scoffed. Humans lack the capability to harm us. They're simply delaying the inevitable. Back on Earth, Hale stood near one of the Aegis stations, his heart pounding as he watched the first weapon calibrate. The barrel, a massive construct of reinforced alloys, turned skyward with deliberate precision. Ready to fire in 30 seconds, a technician called out. Vasquez's voice crackled over the comms. "Do we wait for confirmation, General?" Hale stared at the sky, watching as the largest of the Empire's ships hovered menacingly above. His voice was grim, resolute. "No, we fire now." As the countdown hit 0, the Aegis gun roared to life, its projectiles screaming into the atmosphere at hypersonic speed. The air itself seemed to split apart as the round struck its target, a smaller Empire warship. Its shields flared brilliantly before collapsing entirely, and the once indomitable vessel erupted into a fiery inferno, fragments raining down like meteors. On the Eterna Primus, alarms blared. Varric spun to face his lieutenant. What was that? The insectoid's mandibles clicked nervously. "Sir, they've just destroyed one of our ships." For the first time, Varric's mask of arrogance slipped. He turned back to the viewport, eyes narrowing as he whispered, "What have you been hiding, humans?" The Aegis Protocol had been a whispered secret for decades, a project spoken of in classified meetings and buried under layers of bureaucratic red tape. Now, it was humanity's only hope. General Marcus Hale stood in the heart of an underground control center, watching as the room erupted into control chaos. Technicians worked feverishly at their consoles, green lines of data racing across screens. The air buzzed with tension and the faint smell of ozone as the dormant anti-aircraft systems powered up, their immense energy signatures pulsing through the facility like a heartbeat. "Status report." Hale barked, his voice cutting through the din. A young officer, her uniform still bearing the creases of inexperience, turned to him. "All Aegis units are online, sir. Power levels are stable, and targeting systems are calibrating now. Estimated full operational capacity in 60 seconds. Good." Hale's eyes narrowed as he turned his attention to the live feed of the battlefield. The Empire's warships hovered in tight formation, their confidence unshaken despite the sudden loss of one of their vessels. They were regrouping, preparing for a counterstrike. Standing nearby, President Elena Vasquez observed the scene with a grim expression. "These weapons, why were they never deployed before?" she asked, her tone accusatory. Hale didn't flinch. "Because they were never tested against a real target. These systems were designed to counter theoretical threats, enemy spacecraft, orbital bombardments. Deploying them now is a gamble." Vasquez folded her arms. "Let's hope the gamble pays off. Earth can't afford to lose." Above ground, the hidden Aegis installations were stirring to life. Massive gun barrels, previously concealed beneath urban landscapes and remote outposts, now emerged from their protective coverings. Some were mounted on fortified platforms carved into mountainsides. Others were stationed in desolate plains, camouflaged against satellite detection. Each weapon was a marvel of human ingenuity. They combined cutting-edge electromagnetic railgun technology with AI-guided targeting systems, capable of calculating trajectories in microseconds. But what truly set them apart was their ammunition. The projectiles, nicknamed spearheads, were an unprecedented fusion of kinetic and electromagnetic energy, capable of punching through shields that had rendered the galaxy's most advanced ships untouchable. In the skies, the Empire's fleet began its retaliation. Smaller, nimbler crafts broke away from the main formation, descending toward Earth's surface with surgical precision. These strike ships unleashed a barrage of plasma fire, aiming to destroy the Aegis installations before they could pose a significant threat. One such craft screamed toward an installation in the Nevada desert, its weapons glowing with lethal intent. Within seconds, the AI-guided system locked onto the attacker. The Aegis gun swiveled, its barrel glowing as energy surged into the firing chamber. The shot was thunderous. The kinetic round tore through the atmosphere, striking the alien craft with devastating force. The ship disintegrated midair, a fiery blossom of debris scattering across the horizon. Cheers erupted in the underground control room as technicians saw the confirmation of a direct hit. Hale allowed himself a small smile, but quickly refocused. One down, thousands to go. On the Eterna Primus, Grand Admiral Varric's demeanor had shifted from smug confidence to barely concealed anger. He stood rigid on the bridge, his voice cutting like a blade. They've had these weapons all along, and we never detected them? How is this possible? His lieutenant, the insectoid commander named Skren, hesitated. Sir, their technological capabilities were underestimated. Our analysis suggested no significant threat. Varric clenched his fists. Then your analysis was wrong. Deploy the disruptor drones. Target those installations. I want their defenses obliterated. Back on Earth, the Aegis installations face their most critical test yet. Waves of Empire drones, sleek and ruthless, descended en masse, moving in synchronized patterns to overwhelm human defenses. But humanity was ready. At a hidden facility in Alaska, one of the most advanced Aegis stations was about to make history. The lead engineer, a wiry man named Dr. Alan Pierce, barked orders to his team. Switch to area suppression mode. These drones are too fast for precision strikes. The weapon's AI adjusted, recalibrating its targeting systems. Instead of single, focused shots, the gun began firing in rapid succession, creating a deadly net of projectiles. Drones were shredded mid-flight, their fragments raining harmlessly onto the frozen tundra. Hale's voice crackled over the comms to all installations. Maintain your firepower. Don't let them close the gap. If even one station falls, they'll exploit the opening. Minutes turned into what felt like hours as the battle raged on. The Aegis guns held their ground, obliterating drone swarms and warships alike. The skies, once dominated by the Empire, were now alight with fire and fury, a testament to humanity's resolve. Finally, the tide began to turn. The Empire's formations were breaking apart, their disciplined attacks devolving into chaos. On the Eterna Primus, Varric stared at the tactical display, his jaw tightening as one red marker after another blinked out. Sir, Skren said cautiously, we're losing too many ships. Should we consider a tactical withdrawal? Varric's eyes burned with defiance. Not yet. Humans are resourceful, but they are also reckless. They will overextend, and when they do, we will crush them. But deep within the control center, Hale wasn't thinking about overextending. He was thinking about survival. His voice was steady as he gave the final order. Prepare for Phase 2. President Vasquez glanced at him sharply. Phase 2? What exactly does that entail? Hale's response was grim. The next move isn't just defense. It's retribution. The room fell silent, the weight of his words hanging in the air like a storm cloud. Above, the war still raged, but the tide had shifted. For the first time in the Empire's long history of conquest, they had encountered a force that refused to bow. The battle wasn't over, but humanity had shown that it could fight and win. The battle raged, but the tone had shifted. What had begun as an effortless imperial subjugation had transformed into a desperate struggle for control. The Galactic Empire, masters of the skies for centuries, now faced an enemy that refused to be crushed. The Eterna Primus's bridge was tense. Grand Admiral Varric loomed over the tactical display, his face a mask of rage and disbelief. Every attempt to neutralize the Aegis installations had failed. The warships that once hung invincible above Earth were falling, one by one, reduced to smoldering wreckage. Varric slammed his fist onto the console. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. His lieutenant, Skren, hesitated before responding. "Sir, their anti-aircraft systems are too advanced. Our drones are ineffective, and their strikes are devastatingly precise. We've lost nearly 40% of the fleet." Varric's eyes narrowed. "Then we unleash the Devastator beams. Target their cities, break their morale. If we can't defeat their weapons, we'll destroy their will to fight." But as Varric prepared his next move, humanity was already several steps ahead. In the underground control center, General Marcus Hale monitored the battle with an unflinching gaze. Around him, the hum of the Aegis command systems mixed with the chatter of technicians. The air was thick with tension, but Hale's voice cut through it like steel. "All installations, prepare for synchronized barrage," he ordered. "Target their command vessels. We're not just defending anymore. We're taking the fight to them." President Vasquez, standing nearby, placed a hand on Hale's shoulder. "You're sure about this? They won't stop if we push them too far." Hale turned to her, his expression resolute. "They already won't stop. The only way this ends is if we make it clear that Earth isn't a prize. It's a graveyard for anyone who tries to take it." The Aegis systems responded in unison. Across the globe, the weapons calibrated and fired, their kinetic rounds screaming into the sky. Each projectile was aimed with surgical precision, targeting the Empire's most critical ships. One by one, the Empire's vessels began to crumble. The Aegis rounds struck with devastating force, bypassing shields and shattering hulls. Explosions lit up the atmosphere as command ships disintegrated, their debris falling like meteors to Earth's surface. On the Eterna Primus, alarms blared incessantly. Varric clutched the edge of the command console, his knuckles white. "Status report," he barked. "Admiral," Skren said, his voice trembling, "our command fleet is gone. The humans have neutralized every primary vessel. We've lost orbital superiority." Varric's rage gave way to something far worse, fear. He turned to the tactical display, where red markers representing his fleet were rapidly vanishing. "Impossible," he whispered, but the impossible was happening. In Alaska, Dr. Alan Pierce watched as the final phase of the plan unfolded. "General, the Empire's forces are in full retreat," he reported. "Shall we pursue?" Hale's voice was cold. "No, let them run. They need to carry this message back to their leaders. Earth isn't just defended, it's untouchable." On the Eterna Primus, Varric made the only choice left. "Order a retreat," he growled. "All surviving vessels, fall back to safe coordinates." Skren hesitated. "But, sir, the Empire does not retreat." "Now!" Varric roared, his pride giving way to survival instinct. The massive flagship began to ascend, its engines burning at full power. Around it, the remaining Empire ships turned and fled, leaving Earth's skies behind. In the control center, cheers erupted as the technicians realized what was happening. The invincible Galactic Empire, conquerors of countless worlds, was retreating. Hale allowed himself a small nod of satisfaction, but quickly silenced the room. "We've won a battle, not the war," he said. "Stay sharp. This isn't over." Above, the remnants of the Empire's fleet disappeared into the void, leaving Earth scarred but standing. The skies, once dominated by alien invaders, were now filled with the light of victory. President Vasquez exhaled deeply, her shoulders sagging with relief. "You did it," she said to Hale. "We did it," he corrected, his gaze distant. "But they'll be back. Next time, they'll bring more firepower, and they won't underestimate us again." She nodded, understanding the unspoken truth. Earth's survival would require constant vigilance and preparation. Far across the galaxy, in the heart of the Empire's capital, the news of the defeat spread like wildfire. Varric stood before the Imperial Council, his head bowed in disgrace. "You abandoned the fleet and fled from primitives," one counselor sneered. "They are not primitives," Varric snapped, his voice filled with lingering terror. "They are a threat unlike any we have faced. Their weapons defy logic, and their resolve is unbreakable. If we return to Earth, it will not be as conquerors but as casualties." The council chamber fell silent. The Empire, accustomed to unquestioned dominance, had been shaken to its core. Back on Earth, humanity celebrated. Cities rebuilt, scars healed, and the people stood united like never before. The invaders had underestimated them, believing their advanced technology and overwhelming firepower guaranteed victory. They hadn't accounted for humanity's resilience, ingenuity, and determination to fight for their home. As General Hale watched the sunrise from the ruins of a battlefield, he allowed himself a rare smile. Earth had won its first true battle among the stars. And if the Empire dared to return, humanity would be ready.